Hey guys, Effie here. Today I'm going to make this really fun whimsical floral scene card using our Wildflower Bouquet builder. I'll be doing some watercoloring, so I'm just going to prep my watercolor paper panel with some anti-static powder, and then I'm going to stamp the various wildflower cluster stamps onto my panel with some black pigment ink because I'm going to clear emboss all the stamped images. And I'm going to use my original size Misty to help me get a nice crisp impression with my stamping. With these smaller floral elements, I'm just going to use an acrylic block to stamp around my floral scene that I'll continue building upon. Once I'm satisfied with the amount of florals on my panel, I'm going to pour some clear embossing powder over the images and then hit the whole panel with my heat tool, melting that powder. I'll be doing some quick watercoloring with my images today. I'll do some wet and wet watercoloring. So I'm wetting the areas of some of the petals first with some clean water, and then I'll take a fine tip water brush and drop in some Tangerine color burst into the inner portions of the petal. And this pigment is going to start blooming out to the outer edges of the petal because we dropped it into that already saturated area. So as that color is blooming out, I'm going to take my larger tip water brush and I'm going to blend that color out to the edges of the petal. And then I'm just going to continue working the areas inside the petals by adding additional Tangerine color bursts to give it that additional shading and depth. You have these three larger petaled florals in this cluster, and I stamped it twice. So there are 6 of the same florals that I'm going to color in with the Tangerine color burst. Once I finish with these 6 florals, I'm going to go ahead and color in these black-eyed Susan daisies. So for these first 2, I added a little bit of the Tangerine, but then I decided I kind of wanted to add a different color. So instead of finishing off the rest of these daisy florals with the Tangerine, I switched off by adding Gamboge to the rest of these daisy petals. I'm very happy with the decision to add that gamboge because I feel like it added more balance to my panel. If I had colored all the daisy petals that tangerine, I feel like it just would have been too bright. So I wanted a little bit more balance by adding that lighter warm tone. So once I finished coloring all the petals, I just added some sepia color burst to the daisy centers. Then I colored in the leaves and foliage with olive green color burst. I had originally chosen sap green for the leaves, but I tested it out with one leaf. The sap green was way too bright and it was competing with the tangerine a little too much. So I went with the olive, which is a duller hued green, but still really beautiful and just complemented the bright tangerine really well. Once I finished my watercoloring, I added some of these adorable bees. I stamped a total of 5 of them. When you're adding these kind of elements, you want to stick to odd numbers because it's more pleasing to the eye than stamping an even number. After I stamped the bees, I stamped the bee trails, which added some interest to my project. Next, I added stitching to the edges of my panel using the largest die from our double stitch rectangles large die collection. Finally, I stamped the thanks sentiment right onto my panel, and now I'm going to add some butterfly elements. These butterflies are from our Beautiful Butterflies 1 collection. After I stamp them in our Caviar Hybrid Copic Friendly ink, I'm going to color in the butterfly wings using a combination of warm toned Copic markers, and all the caps are on the screen so you can see exactly which colors I used. I went with the salmon red first and then the peony color as the darker color, and then I used this lightest color to kind of blend everything into the wings. Once I finished coloring, I cut everything out, and then I just bent the wings where the body begins on the butterflies, and then I applied thin strips of pop-up foam tape behind the bodies, and then I applied them in a visual triangle onto my card. Lastly, I added some gold medallion sequins, and this gave my card a more polished look. I use some Ranger glue and seal that comes in a jar, so there's some excess glue on the cap, and I just use that to dip my sequins, and then I apply them onto my card with my tweezers. I don't think Ranger makes this product anymore, but their multi-matte medium comes in a jar as well, so that's a nice alternative. And my project is now complete. I hope you guys enjoyed today's card and video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel because I update it on a weekly basis. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.